When it comes to speech outlines, most speakers and audience members would agree that an organized speech is both easier to present as well as more persuasive. Public speaking teachers especially believe in the power of organizing your speech, which is why they encourage and often require that you create an outline for your speech. And in this video, we will look at how to do just that. So first, we're going to look at two different types of outlines, and then we'll look at an example with an explanation to learn how to actually create an outline for your speech. Outlines, or textual arrangements of all the various elements of a speech, are a very common way of organizing a speech before it is delivered, and this is something your professor may want you to turn in. However, the outlines we are looking at today is not to be confused with a speaking outline, which you will prepare for use when delivering the speech. The speaking outline is much more succinct than the presentation outline and includes brief phrases or words that remind the speaker of the points they need to make, plus the supporting materials and signposts. So now let's take a look at an example of a speaking outline. So here you will see a speaking outline that was written by someone named Sam. And at the very top of the outline, you will want to start with the title of your speech. And in this case, this is a persuasive speech, so the title is Alcohol Should Be Illegal, and here is why. And then underneath the title, you want to make sure you include the topic, which is kind of the more general topic of your title. So in this case, it is the legality of alcohol. And underneath the topic, you will want to have the specific purpose, which is to persuade my audience that alcohol should be illegal because it causes death, health problems, and contributes to domestic violence. In other words, the specific purpose takes your thesis statement right here and explains why you're arguing this. In other words, death, health problems, and domestic violence are your supporting points, and those should go into the specific purpose. And then underneath you have the thesis statement, which is consumption of alcohol should be illegal. Notice these are all topics and they are italicized, and this will kind of continue throughout the whole outline. And then you'll get to the introduction, which is kind of the actual speaking part of your speech. And this is where you'll find the attention getter, the credibility statement, preview, and thesis statement. If you want more information on attention getters, there is another video. Sometimes when you're doing speeches, especially persuasive ones, you want to make sure that you include some kind of research in your introduction to establish the fact that you have done research in this topic and thus are a credible source of information. You also want to have the preview, which is where you go over briefly the points that you're going to touch on. Oftentimes the preview is an extended version of the specific purpose. And then at the end, you want to make sure you include your thesis statement. Now, when you're transitioning from the introduction to the main body, you want to make sure you have a transition statement. And this can be as simple as, first off, I know what you are thinking, that's a bold statement, but, and then you move into your first main point, which is in the body of the speech. Usually the main point is one sentence, which is basically your mini argument or your mini thesis for the body. And this can be supported by subpoints. In this case, there is a ton of research here on deaths by alcohol. You can also have another subpoint where you can address any kind of reservations people may have about your argument. After you have made your first point, make sure you have another transition statement and that leads you into the second point. So in this case, however, not everyone will die from consuming alcohol and suffering serious traffic accidents. Many suffer from serious illnesses. And then this person, Sam, goes on to argue these serious illnesses. Again, notice main point, subpoint, and then the second subpoint. And then again, another transition statement. Sometimes it is a good idea to include something really unexpected about your topic. For example, addressing something that isn't often talked about is a good way to go. In this case, alcohol is a serious culprit in domestic abuse and family separations, which is something you don't always think about in this kind of speech. So that is another good tactic to tackle your speech, as well as your speaking outline. At the very end, you want to transition to the conclusion. Once again, transitions are really important, and if you want to know how to do those better, there is a separate video for that as well. And then in the conclusion, you want to, once again, restate your thesis. You want to summarize what you just talked about, and then you want to offer some final thoughts about the topic. Remember to keep the conclusion brief but impactful, especially if it is a persuasive speech. At the end of your conclusion, you want your work cited or your bibliography, and sometimes your professor may even ask for the pictures to be cited. Another thing you may want to address in your outline is when you're showing pictures on the screen, if that is the case. So for example, right here, Sam has indicated that he's going to show a picture to the audience, and this is a good visual cue. I now hope that you have a better idea of how to structure your speaking outline that you may give into your professor or for your own use. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any further questions, please come to the Center for Public Speaking on the second floor of Furman Center for the Arts, and you can make an appointment on the Instagram handle @UTampaSpeech. Best of luck!